Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball Z. The legendary transformation first appeared during the events on Planet Namek. At that time, turning into a Super Saiyan was considered nothing more than a myth, since no one had achieved it for over 1,000 years. Vegeta described it as an overwhelming state of power, one that could only be sustained while transformed, even though it was treated as a legend. Frieza, who ruled over the Saiyans, was still unsettled by the possibility of it being real. His fear only grew as the Saiyans got stronger. With a subtle nod of approval from the god of destruction Beerus, Frieza decided to wipe out planet Vegeta, hoping to end the Super Saiyan legend once and for all. But years later, Goku proved that the legend was real in his iconic battle against Frieza. In Dragon Ball Z, we learn that technically any Saiyan can become a Super Saiyan, but they need enough S cells to do so. Saiyans with kind, pure hearts naturally accumulate more S cells, and the number also increases as they grow stronger through battles. Once the amount of S cells reaches a threshold, an intense emotional shock, like overwhelming anger or deep sorrow, can trigger the transformation. For Goku, that trigger was the rage he felt after witnessing Frieza kill Krillin, his best friend. Vegeta, on the other hand, wasn't a pure-hearted Saiyan. His transformation came from sheer frustration and fury at his own inability to transform before Goku. This build-up of emotion and S cells gave Super Saiyan its iconic weight and drama, something Dragon Ball Z handled brilliantly. In contrast to some later series, the transformation evolved further in the Android and Cell sagas, bringing new variations. Super Saiyan Grade 2, for instance, was used by Vegeta and Trunks against semi-perfect Cell. It was stronger than the original form but consumed massive amounts of energy. Then came Super Saiyan Grade 3, which Trunks used after seeing Vegeta defeated. This form focused entirely on muscle power, sacrificing speed and making it less practical. Goku even demonstrated it to Gohan inside the hyperbolic time chamber just to highlight its flaws. Eventually, Super Saiyan Grade 4, often called Full Power Super Saiyan, was achieved by Goku and Gohan after intense training. This form didn't drastically boost power, but it removed the strain and energy drain, making it far more efficient for prolonged battles. From its explosive debut on Namek to its refinements in the Android and Cell sagas, Super Saiyan became an iconic symbol of Dragon Ball Z while it laid the foundation for future transformations and movie power-ups. The same can't really be said about Dragon Ball Super. In Dragon Ball Super, Super Saiyan was often treated as just a stepping stone to higher divine forms. Its legendary status was downplayed, and it mostly served as a way to conserve stamina during long fights. Depending on whether you follow the anime or manga, Super Saiyan still had some shining moments early on, especially during Goku's fight with Beerus. Before that battle, Shenron revealed how to unlock Super Saiyan God and mentioned Yamoshi, the first Saiyan who was both a Super Saiyan and a Super Saiyan God. Though briefly explained, Yamoshi's story added depth to the legend and became the catalyst for Goku's divine transformation. At the climax of the Beerus fight, Goku's body adapted to withstand Beerus attacks even while in regular Super Saiyan form, something thought impossible. Beerus himself noted that the divine power Goku gained had become a part of his very being, almost like one final tribute to the original Super Saiyan before it faded into more of a supporting role. From then on, Super Saiyan was mostly used as a power gauge against opponents rather than the centerpiece of battles like in Dragon Ball Z. Still, there were standout moments. In the Goku Black arc, Goku Black initially transformed into a Super Saiyan before evolving further. Surprisingly, he even overwhelmed Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue while still in regular Super Saiyan, shocking fans. Meanwhile, in Universe 6, the transformation was portrayed as far too easy. Caulifla only needed to tingle her back to turn Super Saiyan, which felt shallow compared to the raw emotional explosions that defined the form originally. Cabba's transformation stayed closer to tradition, achieved through anger under Vegeta's guidance, a path Vegeta himself had once walked. But as Dragon Ball Super continued, the form settled into more of a transitional stage. It was mainly used to bridge into godly transformations like Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue, with power levels escalating and enemies rivaling or even surpassing the gods of destruction. The base Super Saiyan form nearly became obsolete, overshadowed by newer, stronger evolutions. In Dragon Ball Daima, Super Saiyan still retained the respect it once held, similar to how it shook the world in Dragon Ball Z. However, since the enemies were so powerful, it was used less often, giving way to newer transformations. What kept it impactful was the story's timing. It takes place right after the Majin Buu Saga, when divine forms hadn't yet stolen the spotlight. In Dragon Ball GT, Super Saiyan was largely overshadowed by Super Saiyan 4. Still, unlike its diminished role in Super, GT gave it a few key moments to shine. Early on, Goku, after being turned into a child, used it against Vegeta on Planet Namek. The fight showed off his power but ended too quickly, leaving fans wanting more. A similar situation happened in his battle with General Rildo, whose strength rivaled Majin Buu. The fight was built up well but once again undercut by GT's pacing issues. As the story progressed, Super Saiyan was continually outclassed by overwhelming enemies like Baby Vegeta, Super Android 17, and Omega Shenron. Goku had no choice but to rely on Super Saiyan 4. The one unique moment came with the Golden Great Ape form, essentially a Super Saiyan Uzaru. Only Saiyans with tails could achieve it. But even then, it was more about rampaging destruction than true meaning. The trend of Super Saiyan losing relevance extended to Goku's allies too: Trunks, Goten, Gohan, and even Vegeta. Despite being stronger since the Buu Saga, their Super Saiyan forms were useless against Baby, Super 17, and Omega Shenron, leading to quick defeats. However, GT did give Super Saiyan some meaningful moments. One standout was when Gohan, Goten, and Trunks lent their Super Saiyan energy to Goku during his first battle against Sin Shenron. With their help, Goku achieved full power Super Saiyan 4, overwhelming Sin even while blinded. This scene echoed earlier energy-sharing moments like the Spirit Bomb, giving Super Saiyan a special, symbolic role once again. Although its appearances in GT were brief and often overshadowed, the moments it was highlighted still held weight. They balanced the emotional roots of the form in Z with its limited use in Super. Even GT's final episode paid tribute, showing Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr., their descendants, transforming into Super Saiyans at a very young age. This closing moment didn't just end the series. It confirmed the lasting legacy of Super Saiyan, alive for over a century since Goku first mastered it. Super Saiyan 2. This transformation first appeared in Dragon Ball Z during the Cell Saga. At the time, nobody thought it was possible to surpass the already overwhelming strength of a Super Saiyan. But Gohan proved everyone wrong. Compared to Goku's first transformation on Namek, Super Saiyan 2 didn't carry the same level of myth or legendary weight. Instead, it delivered sheer drama and intensity, bringing the series to one of its greatest climaxes. Gohan achieved this form after reaching a breaking point, when he witnessed Android 16 being mercilessly crushed by Perfect Cell. That rage triggered his transformation, pushing him past the original limits of Super Saiyan. The truth is, Gohan had already brushed close to this power while training with Goku inside the hyperbolic time chamber. But he hadn't realized it yet. Visually, Super Saiyan 2 looks very similar to the first form, with the most noticeable difference being sharper hair and a constant electrical aura crackling around the body. But in terms of power, it's a massive leap. Speed, strength, and energy skyrocketed far beyond what anyone expected. As just a boy, Gohan unleashed the full force of Super Saiyan 2 to defeat Super Perfect Cell, saving not only Earth but the entire universe. This moment was monumental. It marked the first time Gohan truly surpassed his father, the warrior who had always been considered the strongest. From then on, Super Saiyan 2 became the new standard for Elite Saiyans. By the Buu Saga, both Goku and Vegeta had mastered it. They clashed in their intense duel at the World Martial Arts Tournament and later relied on it in battles against Majin Buu. Gohan still had access to the form too, though his lack of training meant he gradually grew weaker. Even so, Super Saiyan 2 played a crucial role during the Buu Saga. One highlight was Vegeta's fight against Majin Buu. Though short, the battle showcased Vegeta's unshakable resolve. He fought with everything he had, even knowing he couldn't win, ultimately sacrificing himself in one of the saga's most emotional moments. While Super Saiyan 2 was eventually overshadowed by newer forms, the mark it left on DragonBallZ remains unforgettable. In Dragon Ball GT, however, Super Saiyan 2 practically vanished. Fans often debate whether the writers ignored it on purpose or simply forgot about it. The series was so focused on Super Saiyan 4 that Super Saiyan 2 barely appeared at all. It showed up briefly during fights with Baby, Super 17, and Omega Shenron. But those moments were short-lived and had little impact on the battles or story. For many fans, it felt like a wasted opportunity. Why include the form if it wasn't going to matter? Dragon Ball Super took a different approach. Here, Super Saiyan 2 still had a place, though it was mainly used as a stepping stone to higher levels. In Battle of Gods, Goku used Super Saiyan 2 against Beerus, but he was quickly overwhelmed. Vegeta, however, shocked everyone. When Beerus slapped Bulma, Vegeta exploded with rage and unleashed a unique version sometimes called Rage Super Saiyan 2. His power spiked so high that we even speculated Vegeta might have surpassed Goku for a brief moment. Although the form was soon outclassed by Super Saiyan God, Vegeta's moment proved just how powerful emotion could make Super Saiyan 2. Later, in the Goku Black arc, the form got more attention through future Trunks. This was especially meaningful because the last time we'd seen Trunks before that was during Gohan's epic Super Saiyan 2 moment in the Cell Saga. By this point, Trunks had mastered the form, largely thanks to his battles in his ruined timeline. The manga even confirmed that Trunks trained under Supreme Kaishin and reached Super Saiyan 2 in a life-or-death fight against Dabura and Bobidi, preventing Majin Buu's revival. These scenes captured the raw, desperate energy of the form. Staying true to its legacy from the Cell Saga, Trunks eventually evolved this power into a unique variation often referred to as Super Saiyan Rage. It was essentially a heightened, emotion-fueled extension of Super Saiyan 2, though it didn't remain effective for long as godly transformations took over. Even so, in the manga, Trunks' use of Super Saiyan 2 felt more grounded. It showed that through sheer willpower and combat skill, he could hold his ground, even if he couldn't reach divine strength. This gave Super Saiyan 2 more of a practical fighter's form, rather than something just meant to be flashy. The form also appeared during the Tournament of Power when Caulifla and Cabba from Universe 6 unlocked it. Their quick mastery felt odd compared to the struggles of Universe 7's Saiyans, but their usage was at least practical in combat. Caulifla even fused with Kale to become Kefla and used Super Saiyan 2 against Goku in his Ultra Instinct state, creating one of the arc's most intense battles. Goku himself occasionally returned to Super Saiyan 2 during long fights, mostly to conserve stamina. And of course, Gohan's beast form in the recent arcs has been described as a kind of spiritual successor to Super Saiyan 2. Another reminder of how iconic Gohan's transformation was back in Z. Even if Dragon Ball Super hasn't always been consistent with how it treats Super Saiyan 2, the series still gave it meaningful moments in both the anime and manga. It reminded fans of the raw, emotional power that made this form legendary when Gohan first unleashed it against Cell. Finally, in Dragon Ball Daima, the early episodes brought Super Saiyan 2 back into the spotlight in a way that felt closer to Dragon Ball Z since the story is set right after the Majin Buu saga. The form still carries significant weight, even after being turned into children. Both Goku and Vegeta relied on Super Saiyan 2 in their battles against the Tamagami warriors. Goku in particular used it brilliantly to defeat Tamagami number 3. Someone even Dabura couldn't handle. These fights weren't just entertaining, they showed the raw strength and battle spirit of Super Saiyan 2. Even the citizens of the demon realm were stunned by its sheer power. Moments like these helped Super Saiyan 2 shine again, reminding fans of a time when pure strength alone was enough to change the course of a battle. Super Saiyan 3. This form made its unforgettable debut in DragonBallZ during the Majin Buu Saga. And even now, it's remembered as one of the most shocking transformations in the entire series. Unlike Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, which were rooted in raw emotion, Super Saiyan 3 was all about pushing the body past its natural limits. It was an evolution born purely from intense training and discipline, not just anger or desperation. The form is instantly recognizable. The user's hair grows dramatically longer, reaching all the way down their back, and their eyebrows vanish, leaving behind a sharper, more intimidating look. Combined with a thunderous aura and constant lightning, it gave off the impression of godlike power. When Goku first unveiled Super Saiyan 3 against Majin Buu, fans were blown away. The transformation sequence itself was legendary. It shook the entire Earth, terrified Supreme Kai, and even caused King Kai's planet to tremble. It was the perfect build-up to show just how far Goku had come since the Cell Saga. But despite its breathtaking entrance, Super Saiyan 3 had one critical flaw: energy consumption. This form drained stamina at an unbelievable rate, even just maintaining it for a few minutes. For Goku, who was already dead at the time, the strain was even worse, since his body wasn't meant to hold that much power for long. Still, the form delivered one of the most intense fights of DragonBallZ. Goku was able to dominate Fat Buu with it, showing that the form had real destructive power. Yet, because of its drawbacks, it wasn't a long-term solution. The fight ended with Goku admitting he couldn't finish Buu off without someone else stepping up. After that, Super Saiyan 3 became something of a last resort transformation in Z Gotenks. The fusion of Goten and Trunks later achieved it as well. His version was incredibly strong, but he treated it more like a flashy toy than a serious weapon, playing around against Super Buu instead of finishing the job. That playful misuse highlighted both the strengths and the weaknesses of the form. By the end of DragonBallZ, Super Saiyan 3 was a double-edged sword. It was the ultimate display of Saiyan power at the time, but its energy drain kept it from ever being reliable in prolonged battles. In Dragon Ball GT, the form returned but with a similar pattern. Goku used Super Saiyan 3 against baby Vegeta, but because his body had been turned into that of a child, the stamina issues were even worse. He couldn't hold the form for long, forcing him to rely on Super Saiyan 4 instead. Super Saiyan 3 also appeared briefly in Goku's battles against Super 17 and Omega Shenron, but the result was the same: it wasn't enough. GT treated the form as flashy but ultimately outclassed. It was a bridge to something greater, not the final answer. Dragon Balls. In Dragon Ball Daima, Super Saiyan 3 returned in a nostalgic way. Goku once again relied on it during fights in the demon realm. Despite being reverted to a child's body, the energy drain was still a problem, but its sheer intimidation factor caught his enemies off guard. For longtime fans, these moments felt like a tribute to the original Buu Saga reveal. Even now, Super Saiyan 3 remains one of the most iconic forms in Dragon Ball history. It's not the most efficient, it's not the strongest, and it's often overshadowed, but it's unforgettable. That hair, that aura, that earth-shaking transformation, it embodied the over-the-top spectacle that made Dragon Ball Z so legendary. Super Saiyan 4. This form is different from everything that came before it. Unlike Super Saiyan 1, 2, or 3, which were all extensions of the same golden-haired line, Super Saiyan 4 broke away completely, giving fans something entirely new. It first appeared in Dragon Ball GT during Goku's battle with baby Vegeta. At that point, Goku had been transformed back into a child, which limited his strength and his access to the higher Super Saiyan levels. Even Super Saiyan 3 wasn't enough. The situation pushed him to tap into a power that felt both ancient and primal. To achieve Super Saiyan 4, Goku had to first transform into a golden great ape. This form combined the raw power of the Oozaru with the legendary Super Saiyan. But it came at a cost. He lost control, turning into a destructive monster. Only after regaining his mind through his bond with Pan was he able to condense that overwhelming power into a new, stable transformation, Super Saiyan 4. Visually, it was unlike anything seen before. Instead of golden hair, the user's hair turned black again. Their body grew more muscular, and they were covered in red fur. The design merged the primal beast-like traits of a Saiyan's Oozaru heritage with the sleek, humanoid look of a warrior. Fans were split at first, but over time, it became one of the most beloved transformations for its originality. In terms of strength, Super Saiyan 4 was miles ahead of Super Saiyan 3. It completely overwhelmed baby Vegeta in their fight, and later allowed Goku to stand toe-to-toe with enemies like Super 17 and Omega Shenron. The form also had much better stamina control compared to Super Saiyan 3, making it far more practical for extended battles. One of the highlights of GT was the introduction of Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Unlike Goku, Vegeta couldn't reach the Golden Great Ape naturally since he no longer had a tail. To compensate, Bulma built a machine called the Bluetooth Wave Generator to artificially trigger the transformation. Once Vegeta reached Golden Great Ape, he was able to stabilize it into Super Saiyan 4, creating one of the most hyped moments of GT. What's undeniable, though, is that Super Saiyan 4 holds a special place in the franchise. For many, it felt like the true next step after Super Saiyan 3, an evolution that tied back to the Saiyans' origins as a warrior race. It captured both their wild nature and their capacity for discipline.